You're listening to Jerry Royce Live Worldwide Podcast.
Hi, I am recording artist Marilyn Dunn from St. Louis, Missouri. If you are looking for some soul-stirring, anointed, spiritual, and heartfelt music, visit my website at www.marilyndunnministries.com. Or you can also find me on CD Baby, iTunes, and Reverb Nation. For booking information, contact Mr. Kevin Dunn at 636-856-0551. That's 636-856-0551.
Hi, this is Cindy Williams, and you are listening to Jerry Royce Live Worldwide Podcast.
You are listening to PositivePower21.org with Jerry Royce.
What up? It's your boy Kano Kingston.
Hi, this is Angel Sessions.
Hey, this is Pat. Hi, I'm Teresa Cowell.
Hi, Jerry. This is Ira Sandro Carter.
Hi, this is Phil Powers.
Hello, this is Teresa Bobby with Jerry Royce Live.
Hi, I'm Philip Byrne. I'm live on the Jerry Royce Show.
Hey, what it do? It's your boy Houston Saint.
Peace, this is Dahlia the Poet, spoken word artist.
Hello, this is Ramon Marquis with Jerry Royce Live.
All right, everyone. You got Robin Lynn, and I'm keeping it live right now on Jerry Royce Live.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? What's up? This is a award-winning podcast with the greatest podcast on earth. Thank you for stopping by. I'm your host, Jerry Royce Live Worldwide on Internet Radio, where you get your positive on. So when it's all positive, it's all power. That's positive power. This is a worldwide podcast for growth, wealth, and success. Thank you.
Think you know how drugs get in those little brown bottles? Think again. Set in the green hills of western New Jersey, inside the gilded halls of power of a U.S. pharmaceutical company where decisions are worth billions of dollars and human lives worth less. Nicholas Harding, a young executive at Marshall Pharmaceutical, finds his career, family, and life in jeopardy. The Farmhouse, a suspense thriller novel by Bill Powers, published by Donna Inc. Publications, available at Amazon.com or DonnaInc.org. Go to Bill's webpage at www.author.BillPowers.com.
Are you looking for the next great read? A book filled with love, passion, betrayal, and intrigue. The award-winning novel, Season of Change, by Tamika Patrice Kane is sure to satisfy your literary sweet tooth. Check out this must-read book reviewers are calling uplifting and emotional, and exceptionally great read, deeply intense and thought-provoking. Order your copy today, available in paperback and ebook on Amazon.com or at www.tamikapatrice.com.
Are you an author looking for promotional services or a reader looking for a great read at low prices? In this competitive world of books, Writing Royalty Promotions is dedicated to bringing authors and readers together to build a greater respect for literature through our various promotional services and online bookstore. So head over to WritingRoyaltyPromotions.com and check us out.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you for joining us, and welcome to PositivePower21.org. I am Jerry Royce Live Worldwide, and you're listening to episode 342 with me and actress and writer and producer Cindy Williams. But before we bring her on, let's hear a word from our sponsor, Tiffany Boyle at Emerge Magazine in Washington, D.C.
Hey, this is Tiffany Boyle, CEO and Editor-in-Chief of Emerge Magazine, the new voice of business. Here inviting you to come out to celebrate with us at the Emerge premiere May 29th from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. at the City Club of Washington, D.C., located at 555 13th Street Northwest, Columbia Square. Again, that's May 29th in Washington, D.C. For more information, visit www.emergepremiere.com.
You're listening to episode 342 with Jerry Royce Live worldwide on positivepower21.org with actress, writer, and producer Cindy Williams. Actress, writer, and producer Cindy Williams has starred in some of the most historical movies and television programs in entertainment history. Her career began in the 1970s in prestigious movies like Travels with My Aunt with Maggie Smith, directed by George Cukor, American Graffiti with Ron Howard, Harrison Ford, and Richard Dreyfuss, and directed by George Lucas, and The Conversation with Gene Hackman and directed by Francis Ford Coppola. Once she and Penny Marshall played loose girls on the hit TV show Happy Days, the network quickly ordered a spin-off of the dynamic comedy duo. After changing their characters to blue-collar workers in the Midwest, they made their debut in Laverne and Shirley in 1976. The show quickly became the most watched American television program, surpassing Happy Days in popularity. The show remains in syndication around the world and has a very loyal following of original and new fans. Cindy continues to work in her first love, the theater, and she performs in musicals all over the country. And she is the author of the book, Shirley, I Just. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you and enjoy this presentation of Jerry Royce Live worldwide on positivepower21.org. All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Episode 342 with actress and writer and producer Cindy Williams from Laverne and Shirley is here with us tonight. What's up, Cindy Williams? How you doing tonight?
Okay, Jerry. And how are you doing?
I'm doing awesome. I'm just so happy to have you. I have to reveal something before we move the show forward. You ready?
I am, Jerry. Hit
All right,
me with
you know,
it.
I used to have a crush on you back in the day.
Oh,
yeah.
Thank you. What a compliment. Oh, you've been jailbait.
A whole lot of guys back then had a crush on Shirley.
You're so sweet, Jerry. Thank you. What a compliment.
I told a few people, and they said, "Oh my God, I had a crush on her." Yeah, and they were younger than me.
Well, you made my day and my night, and possibly tomorrow. That's such a compliment. Thank you.
No, now did the Hollywood guys tell you that you had a huge African American fan base, you know, in the hood all over the United States?
We did know, and you know, some of the most fantastic fans come out of the black community because they're just so everybody. It's the black community has such a great sense of humor, such a positive, fabulous sense of humor and sense of self-humor too, and it's just a joy. I mean, one time I was at this event with Penny. It was a big sports event in L.A., and I was sitting down on this couch, and behind me these arms came and they hugged me, and someone whispered in my ear, "I just love you." And I turned around, and it was Snoop Dogg. It was Snoop Dogg, and we weren't allowed to have. It was Snoop, and we weren't allowed to have cameras in this event. And I just begged anyone, you know, and Penny had her flip phone, and we took this picture. And I remember he had all this bling, you know, this I don't know what you kids call it today, but he had all this jewelry on, and I said. Yeah, and I said, let's hold Snoop's, you know, what's at the end here, this bling, and it was like this silver, I don't know, it was like just this huge silver plate, and so Penny, somewhere there's a picture of me and Penny with Snoop holding this big silver plate that he had on a chain around his neck. Anyway, he was such a great guy. I wish I could have spent more time with him. But yes, in answer to your question, Jerry, yes. And it's quite a compliment, you know, that the African American community embraces us and the show, and still does.
Yes, absolutely. You are all-time favorite. I mean, people still remember you like it was yesterday. When your publicist contacted us, I was like, is she talking about the other Cindy Williams that was on that movie was with Wesley Snipes? I don't know if you remember that movie.
Cinda. That's Cinda. Cinda Williams.
She called Cinda. Oh, okay, that's what she called herself.
Yeah,
okay.
She's a very good actress. Yes.
Yeah.
I believe that's who it was, Cinda.
Yeah. I couldn't remember exactly how she pronounced her first name, but I remember she came out of New York, and that was a big,
But she's an African-American actress, right?
Right.
Cinda.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, Cinda, okay.
She's very good. Yeah.
Yeah, but everybody knew who I was talking about, though. They knew it.
You did? Yeah.
Yeah, they knew.
They knew who.
They knew it was you.
That's great.
They knew. Laverne Shirley. All right, well, I got to ask you the first question.
Enough about me.
That's right. Well, it's all about you tonight. So, you ready for the first question? All right, this is my signature first question. The first question for the night is, who is Cindy Williams?
Oh, I better make some phone calls and get back to you. I think, I don't know. I like to think that I'm somebody who always has their heart in the right place and loves to laugh and likes to. Mm-hmm. The reason, this book is not a tell-all. My little book, Shirley, I wasn't interested in writing about. I'm telling you about myself here. I'm trying to explain who I am. I was not interested in writing anything where I threw people under the bus or a tell-all book or anything like that. I took great care to have none of that in this book and only fun stuff that would make people laugh out loud. That was true about my life, which is blessed, because it's just blessed. I don't even have to say why. I'm just so blessed, and I've had such a fun life and such fun adventures, and I wanted to share them with people, and I wanted to do it in a way where I took people there with me. And I'm a fan. I like to think of myself as a very, like everybody else, I have my foibles. I have my, things that, I'm not exactly proud of in my life, things that I am proud of in my life. I try to every day make myself better by, the 7 deadly sins, like trying to weed them out one at a time. So when I die.
Uh-oh, did Cindy go out? Oh, I think her call dropped. Cindy, you still there? Because I think your call dropped. You're just about to throw down. All right, we'll wait till there she go. All right, you back?
There we go. Okay. Anyway, I just like to think of myself like, a friendly kind of person, a friendly, sort of person that's like everybody else. So that's kind of me. I mean, I took myself, how they talk about people buying their own publicity and, and getting all haughty and caught up in themselves. I did that for about 2 weeks when Laverne and Shirley was a big success. Penny and I both did. They had us in New York, and we were like, we were like the Golden Girls, and not the show, although right now we could play any of the Golden Girls. But we for 2 weeks we thought we were really hot stuff, and it was so uncomfortable. It was just so uncomfortable because and so it lasted about 2 weeks for both of us, and that was it. We went back because we couldn't have played those characters on Laverne and Shirley if we didn't understand exactly where those characters were coming from and what they were, with the wolf at their heels all the time and trying to scrape the money together for the rent and to pay the electric bill and sometimes not making it and having to buy, instead of buying Pepsi, they buy Blue Drink because it's cheaper for their party and stuff like that. And it just hits a note with everybody, and especially us, me and Penny. I mean, we really, so I really identify with, like, and I wouldn't, I wouldn't call it like there's nothing common about it. I just identify with everyone that struggles in a fun way. You've got to look at it. You've got to look at it with humor. If you have struggle in your life, you have to look at it with humor, and that's what Laverne and Shirley did. And and the joke was always on us. And anyway, Jerry, that's a long way around your question, an answer to your question. I'm sorry.
Answer. All right, now people can always look you up on the internet and find out other things, but what they really want to know is, tell us a little bit about your childhood. What was it like growing up being Cindy Williams before the fame? What was it like? Where were you? Where were you from? What were your classmates like?
Well, I was born in the San Fernando Valley, and then when I was 1, we moved to Texas. So I grew up, basically, my childhood was in Dallas, and my father was alcoholic. But he had, when he was sober, he had a fabulous sense of humor. I mean, just was the greatest guy. You just would have loved him. But when he drank, he was the devil himself. And so I had that in my childhood. And so when I wrote the book, they wanted me to start there, which I did not want to. But I started there, but I picked out I do touch upon, living that childhood, but I do it in fun terms, in funny terms. And so when people read it, they don't come away going, oh my goodness. So it doesn't take anybody, keeps everybody buoyant. And then when I was 11, we moved back to California, and my grandma was the first one on the street in Dallas to get a TV set. And so I started watching TV, and I started living in those characters and those situations on television. And it was basically soap operas and wrestling back then, Gorgeous George, and I Remember Mama, and those programs, and Lucky Strike commercials. And I was mesmerized by the dancing boxes of cigarettes. And so I started mimicking, I started mimicking that, and then that just continued on. I just kept watching wonderful TV back in the 50s and mimicking. And then in church, when they had the ice cream social, I volunteered to do the talent show and produce it and, gather all the talent. And, of course, star in it, Jerry. And so I did that, and we sold out two big performances. And then in high school, it was just like that from the time I was a kid. I'm sure it's the same for you with your podcast and everything, that you, at one point, when you were younger, you just had an affinity toward it.
Oh, yeah. You're right. CB Radio. Remember CB Radio? The Citizen Band Radio? That was my thing. Yes. I was like 7th, 8th grade. My parents got me one, and right after I graduated from elementary school, and that got me interested in broadcasting. You're right. All right.
There you go. Well, it always starts somewhere like that, and usually when you're young, because you just are drawn to it. It's like God, that's what God intended. And so it just followed suit from there. In high school, I was in the drama, I took drama, and I wasn't a very good student. I wanted to be a nurse, but I just couldn't, biology, I was just awful in it. And I thought, how can I be a nurse with a C average in biology after I've taken it twice? So I thought, who wants that? I wouldn't want a nurse, only got a C in biology. So
you said, oops, the wrong medicine.
That dream was, pardon?
I said, you said, oops, I gave you the wrong medicine.
So sorry. Let me put a tourniquet on that real fast so it doesn't get to your heart. Yeah, and that would have been me. And I'm dyslexic and among a bunch of other things. So I just wasn't suited for that. But I'm sure that I'll go back to you again. I'm sure that you thought when you were in junior high and had your CB, I'm sure you thought, this is dramatic, and this is mysterious, and this is adventurous, and my voice, how does my voice sound traveling out there? And I used to think about, as being I wanted to be an ER nurse. I thought, oh, it's so dramatic, going flying through those double doors and hearing over the speaker, Nurse Williams wanted an emergency, and that's how and that's how things begin for kids, and they dream them first. And But I didn't dare dream that I would ever make money on it. My parents were terrified, my mother especially. She said, learn to type faster, become a secretary. And I thought, I'll never type faster. I type 32 words a minute with 3 mistakes. Nobody's going to hire me there either. I couldn't have even typed up my nurse's notes at the end of the night if I'd become a nurse. So it was just by hook or crook. So I went to the theater arts department at City College, and at Los Angeles City College, which is a brilliant, it has a brilliant theater arts program. And I learned more stage and stage work, which is my first love. And Laverne and Shirley ended up being a little stage show because we would rehearse it for 4 days, and then an audience would come in, and we would present it on the fifth evening in front of the audience, and it was being filmed, but we would start at the beginning and go all the way to the end, so the audience got the gist of the whole show, and we would always, Anyway, I hope I answered that question. I'm not sure I did. I rambled on.
You did a great job. Great job. But I mean, you answered a couple questions for me because I was going to ask you, did you guys have any idea during that point while you guys were doing the theater, the live performance in front of the audience, that Laverne and Shirley would be so popular, so huge like that, so funny in every family's household? They glued in every day right after school. Did you guys have any idea?
No, we went on. We were writers. I write about this in the book. We had been put together as a writing team for this movie, this spoof movie, with other writers, Steve Martin Moe, Harry Shearer, bunch of writers, and we were working on that when Gary Marshall called us and said, I've got these 2 parts of girls who date the fleet. That's how he put it. Girls who date the fleet. And I want you girls to come over and, if you can, and play these 2 girls, Laverne and Shirley. And so we said, sure, and we got a week off and went over. Neither one of us had seen Happy Days. And
really?
But I had worked with Ron, and Penny knew a lot of the people on the set because of The Odd Couple that she had been on. So we went over. We saw these girls as just the cheapest. Oh God, just these gum-chewing, cigarette-smoking. In fact, when we came on in rehearsal, we were smoking cigarettes, and we flicked them across the room. And Jerry Paris, the director, screamed, "Stop! What do you think you 2 are doing? This is a family show." You can't
That's
be
right,
smoking.
you're right.
We said we didn't.
Yeah.
We didn't know.
You were smokers. Yeah, I remember that. Now you guys were smokers. Y'all was a little different. Yeah. Wow.
So, and then we were fixing each other's, lingerie. Fixing each other up and taking pin curls out of each other's hair and chewing up. And we played them as really girls who really date the fleet. And they toned it down. And then we did it. And then 3 weeks later, we get a call, and we're back to writing. And we get a call, and they tell us that the network had seen this episode of Happy Days and loved the 2 characters and wanted to spin them off for their own show. And Penny and I, Jerry had no idea what that meant. We spin us off to where? Spin, we had no idea. We had to look it up. And anyway, so then they ordered 4 shows for us to do that they were going to put on the air. And Penny and I both thought, okay, 4 on the air and 4 off. That's good. No idea until the end of the first season. Even when Gary came down and said the overnights, do you know what? Is that an archaic term these days? That's the scores you get. How many people watch the show overnight? They come in with the tally. and Gary Marshall came down with the overnights, and he said it was something like, it was historic. It was like 32 million people the first time. I think it was more, but I don't know. But it was like this astronomical number, and we couldn't compute it. And it took us, I'd say, a full season and a half to figure out that the show we were on, was popular. And that happened at the Thanksgiving Day parade when they rushed us. You know, we were in the parade, and the crowd started coming toward us on the float. We looked behind us because we thought somebody great was there, and you know, we looked over our shoulders behind us, and then we realized they were rushing us. And that was the first time. And that, I go back to those 2 weeks in New York when we thought we were like really hot stuff. We came down fast from now. Anyway. It's all in the book, Terry. It's all in the book, and it's a really fast read.
And we can't wait to read it. Now, we're going to take a quick break, Cindy, and then we're going to come back, and we're going to finish talking about you, the book, how you marketing, do you understand social media, all that good stuff, okay? So we're going to take a quick break. We're going to listen to a song from a recent guest we had, Kimberly. Everybody just loved to sing on this Dude Out Real Soon. So this song is called I Want to Be Yours. All right, Kimberly.
Boyle, CEO and Editor-in-Chief of Emerge Magazine, the new voice of business. Here inviting you to come out to celebrate with us at the Emerge premiere May 29th from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. at the City Club of Washington, D.C., located at 555 13th Street Northwest, Columbia Square. Again, that's May 29th in Washington, D.C. For more information, visit www.emergepremiere.com.
You are listening to Jerry Royce Live Worldwide Podcast.
All right. Thank you, Robert, for bringing me in. That was Kimberly. I Want to Be Yours. That single will be out real soon, so check us out on positivepower21.org. Did you like that, Cindy? You like that song?
Oh, it gave me chills. It's beautiful.
I know.
I'm on my knees, Lord. It's just you and me. Oh, just gave me chills. She has a beautiful voice.
I know. So I'm not the only one that felt that way. The first 5 seconds, I fell in love with this song.
Oh, I want to. It's a song that, you know, the key to a great song is do you go away humming it? And I do. Oh, I have chills right now. It was beautiful. Where can you get that?
Well, we don't know. We're waiting. She was on the show last week, and she's talking about trying to put 15 songs. I said, you don't need no 15 songs. You could release it now. You know, a lot of people still don't quite. Yeah, you know.
I know
people. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
You can't understand that, you know, people think they need 12, 15 songs to do an LP because back in the day. Is that what you're going to say?
Well, no, you kind of do now. You need 5. My daughter is a singer-composer, and she's in the middle of that right now, so it sounded just like my daughter Emily. her name is Kimberly. Is that her name?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Kimberly, she called herself.
Yeah, well, she's kind of right about that, and she doesn't want to release it because then people will download it. She releases it over. She's got to be protected. The music business is so difficult, and a song like that, she's got something there. I mean, she's very talented and beautiful.
She wrote it, composed it.
Beautiful. Yeah. She wrote it.
Yeah, she composed the music, sat down with some musicians, and was kind of like humming it out what she wanted them to play, and she has another song that's similar to that too. That's really, really nice. So we just can't. I mean, people are asking me at work. I heard the show. Where's the song at? And I said she didn't release it yet. She's just going on shows talking about it, and we just playing little snippets. I'll have to talk to her about that.
Yes, you will, Jerry.
Yeah, people
that
going crazy.
Just beautiful, inspiring. I have goosebumps when I think about it.
I know. I thought it was just me. Whew. All right. Now we're going to talk exactly about what we're talking about with Kimberly. Now, the internet. How much do Shirley of Laverne Shirley knows about the internet?
Please.
What do you know?
I'm totally illiterate. I'm going to invent a thing called an on and off button, on and off switch. And you just turn things on and off. Today I was monkeying around with my Gmail, and I couldn't find this email that I had with my whole schedule on it. And someone tried to explain to me that, well, that's because you set it up with the Gmail app and not the, and the Internet has lost it. And I said, please, just stop. I can't vision it in my head. What is it? Ducks in water that are spinning a wheel or something? I have no idea what this technology is all about, and I'm kind of lost. Like if you got an email from me, it would be connected onto your email. Wouldn't be any,
like a thread. Yeah, they call it. It's like a thread. You see, go by the old terminology, like a thread. So it's like everybody that responds to the email is on a thread. So it's like it just goes down. As you pull it out, more and more emails is connected to it. Just like I had a thread with your publicist. We were going back and forth a little bit. And the hard thing about Gmail, it doesn't really operate like email and Outlook, like Microsoft Outlook. If you have that set up on your computer, like at work, you have to kind of Google the person's name or search their name, and then everything comes up. So that's pretty much how I locate my emails. I just type my own name, and then the most recent stuff will come up. So you may have to do that technique. Yeah.
I may have to. Cool. That's what they were trying to explain to me today. But you can't,
Yeah, Gmail is tricky. It's not easy. I know what you're going through with Gmail. Luckily, I have my sons around, my daughter. Now, tell us about are your children, do you have children or just the one child? Because you mentioned your daughter.
I have a daughter and a son, yes.
Oh, good for you. Good for you. So do they help you out with the smartphone and the computer?
They try, but then they go, Mom, because I can't catch on fast enough. They go, Mom, come on. Let me show you. My daughter did show me. I'm very good at texting, especially with Siri. And I can attach a photograph now. I know how to do that.
Good.
But I don't know how to attach things to Facebook. I set up this Facebook page. It was great the first 2 days. I had, I was really busy on it. I was having so much fun. Then I had to come and do this play that I'm in, this musical, and I just don't have time to see to it. And those old pictures that are up, I'm kind of embarrassed that I even started, because people must think, what a doofus. She puts this up and promises all these things, see you tomorrow, everybody. There is no tomorrow. I can't even access it, Jerry, to tell you the truth. I don't know how to access it on my iPad. You
gotta have the app. You gotta hit that app. Yeah, Facebook app.
I thought the app was here, but I don't see it.
Yeah, you gotta move it around. It probably moved around. Yeah, you gotta get used to using the desktop. I started out when computers. You had to actually type out the whole command. They call that DOS. So I was actually in the IT for a little while for a publishing company, and the guys used to try to sabotage one another by trying to seem like try to make themselves seem like they're the best technician in the computer room, with the manager, because he used this pie system to determine who get the highest raise. So you had to make the next guy and the next guy look bad. So everybody would write their own macros. So you couldn't access certain things on the computer because you didn't know it or you couldn't memorize it. So when Bill Gates came out with Windows, I was like, yes. So you can't hide anything from me now because it's all on the desktop now, right? So that was a good thing. Yeah.
And
so,
to get in, I thought it was to get into to go from, I know, it's just press this and then that if you want that, and I can't remember it all. But Windows does help.
Yeah, the best way to remember how to use your computer is to fall in love with a game. Find a game app that you like and play that, and before you know, that's like a teacher. That's like an aid, one of those tools that get you familiar with, sliding your finger across and,
Right.
So that's the best way to do it. Start out playing. Most people start out by playing solitary. And next thing you know, they can operate it. Yeah,
yes, I've
find
seen
a favorite game.
Lots of people. Well, I tried to put up slot machines, but then they wanted me to pay actual money. And I said, no, I won't be doing that.
yeah, leave that one alone.
That would be dangerous, Jerry.
Yeah, they'll take all your money. You'd be addicted.
Yes.
And it's all going overseas somewhere, and you don't even know where it's going. All right.
Help build China.
That's right. Build somebody's island. Somebody. All right. Well, this was I think you kind of touched on this a little bit early, and we want to ask you about the process. Was it a difficult process? Was it hard to decide which stories you want to include in your book? To keep it engaging.
Well, it was difficult for me because I had like this cataract surgery. And right before I started, and I thought, they said you'll heal in a week, and instead, it was 3 months later. My eyes just closed because I got this terrible case of you don't want to know, dry eyes. Anyway, but the point is, I couldn't open my eyes, so I couldn't write, and it was just so I lost 3 months. So I wrote the book basically in 3 months. But yes, I gnashed my teeth, wrung my hands. Thought I was having a nervous breakdown, and especially, when you write or you journal anything, you go through, and I'm not a journaler, but it's sort of cathartic because they wanted something about my childhood, so I started there. I don't really start the book there. I started in the middle and I go back, but just to go through all that it's a mental challenge. It's an emotional challenge, and I'm glad I did it. And I stuck to my guns, and I'm a very bad organizer, though. If I were going to give anybody advice about writing a book, make sure you map it out and put it on a wall, or a big board on little 3x4 cards. This chapter is about high school, and this chapter, and then you can move them around in the order you want. And but I had to learn that, and I learned it the hard way. And the way I wrote was not on the computer, as you might guess, Jerry. It was pen to paper.
Oh, well, some people do that because I get a lot of people who was just released from prison that are now published authors, and they didn't have the opportunity to type their stories up on computers. They had to use whatever paper and little pencils they would give them. So you're not the only person out there doing it. Yeah, and some of them are bestsellers right now on Amazon. Now, speaking of Amazon, now your book is on Amazon. People can get the book. Now, is the book available right now? Because I know sometimes people do pre-orders. Is it available right now?
Yes, it is. It's available right now. They're going to do a big thing at Amazon in the middle of the month. I don't even know what it means. It's something with the front of the store, and they put your book on a table. Everybody vies for that position, I guess. But anyway, they picked me, so I'm very happy about that. I have no idea where to get the book. The publisher sent me some, and that's all I know. And I'm in Michigan right now, and they're back home, in Southern California, in a box. And but I don't know if you could walk into a bookstore right now. I think you can go into. They should have them at Barnes and Noble.
Right, they will be
Barnes
there.
And Noble that's doing that. So
right, because Amazon
I don't know how
online.
you kids get books. books these days. You get them online, you read them on a little thing.
You have digital downloads. You can actually order the hard copies to your house also, and Amazon if Amazon is printing them for you, they can order them through them or through your distributor. So that's probably what's going to happen. Yes, that's awesome. Now everybody's going to be so amazed, because we haven't heard your name in a long time. I remember seeing Penny Marshall. She was doing quite a bit with the directing, and you saw her little director's hat, doing great work. Where were you doing that time? After of course your show was still running, but what was Shirley doing?
Well,
where was she?
I had started my family, and I just sort of stuck to that. I did produce Father of the Bride, and I talk about that in the book. What else have I done? And I've done a lot of theater, which I love doing, and that's just sort of where it's fallen, where my career has taken me, and I love it. And that's what I'm doing right now with Eddie Mecca, who was Carmine on Laverne and Shirley. We've worked in a few plays and musicals together.
Oh, wow. In New York? So you're doing that in New York?
Yes, we're in Michigan right now.
Oh, in Michigan. Okay.
Yeah, doing this show called, it's called Meshuggah Nuns. And it's about nuns and on a boat with an actor who's playing Tevye in the boat's production of Fiddler on the Roof, and then the ship is in a storm, and so all the cast in Fiddler on the Roof gets sick except for this character Howard, who Eddie plays. And so the nuns, and I play the Reverend Mother, the nuns come in and help him out, and we put on a show. And it's one of Dan Goggins' shows, and it's a lot of fun. A lot of fun.
Is it traveling?
To do.
So it's traveling right now?
It's a sit down here in Michigan at the Meadowbrook Theater, and
awesome.
And so far the audience is loving it, and it's a lot of fun. Always fun to work with Eddie, and it's a very amusing show and very entertaining show.
Now you said who's Eddie? Who's in it again?
Eddie Mecca, who played Carmine on Laverne and Shirley. Eddie Mecca.
Oh, awesome. Good for y'all. Good. Now, Happy Days went big too. Of course, wow, that was an incredible group that came out of that. Ron Howard being the director he is, and a fantastic actor, because the last movie he did with about the Africans attacking his ship, and I can never remember the title of that movie, but it was so engaging. I never thought in a million years I could sit and watch a movie where a guy's just sitting inside of a submarine the whole time.
With Tom Hanks?
Yeah, that's right. That was Tom Hanks. That's right. That was Tom Hanks. I always get those two mixed up, but I think Ron directed that, correct?
I'm not sure. I'd have to Google it, Jerry.
Yeah,
Google it right now.
But I believe he did direct that. But that was awesome. Now, Shirley, she decided to go start her family, because that's everybody's American dream, to have that family. Yep. I know you're proud of your kid. Now, you mentioned your daughter's getting into music. Is she going professional?
Yes. She right out of high school, she had a recording contract, and then a bunch of stuff happened, and that sort of went south, and it was a big contract with Interscope, but she kept at it, and her music is beautiful, like Kimberly's, and but she doesn't see, it's not gospel, it's sort of, I can't even figure out what it is, but it's wonderful. It's like rock and roll and then ballads, and she's just a wonderful songwriter and singer, beautiful voice.
Would you classify the inspiration? Would you classify inspirational?
Would I classify her as inspirational? My daughter?
Yeah.
No, not in the same way. No, it's not gospel, but it's inspirational as far as her ballads. When she was. Well, it'd take me too long to explain it, but she's been writing songs since she was, 13, 12, 13, and she just, you know, this new stuff is really good. And when she does get it out, I'll call you. I'll call you.
Have her on the show.
And let
that would be awesome.
Yeah, let her come on the show and play some of her stuff. Or one of her songs.
Yeah, and how about your son? Where did his career lead him?
He's a musician also. I have 2 musicians. Someone asked me today, do you have grandchildren? I said, oh, no. No, my kids are musicians. I don't want them to have any children yet until no. Because I'll end up with them. I'll have all the kids at my house. So he's a wonderful drummer, guitar player, and he's wonderful in his own right too. And
so is he playing with a band? He's with a band?
He has. He's toured with a band. God, I can't even remember what the name. Blue Jungle. But you know, some LA band, and they won the band that I can't remember because he's so secretive and he never invites me to these things. But they won the Battle of the Bands. They were the number 1 band in LA or in the West Coast. I don't even know. He didn't even tell me. It's like one year he won the big Halloween contest with his. Anyway, I don't want to go into that. It's like a family joke. But Zach gets all these little awards and he collects them all, and then he tells you 10 months later that he's accomplished that. But they're both wonderful people, and I love them. And the major thing for me is that I always check in with them and make sure that they're saying their prayers and they're close to God. And I don't care what they do in this world as long as they stay close to God.
That's right. Amen. Now are you promoting a book in Barnes and Noble, wherever you can find a bookstore? 'Cause I know a lot of bookstores are closing up, in some of your your malls and everything. Do you see yourself doing coffee shops or whatever? I mean, what's the plan? Washington D.C. Where
I'm going to do drive-throughs, Jerry. I'm going to do Wendy's drive-throughs or Jack in the Box drive-throughs or McDonald's. I'm going to just do drive-throughs.
Is Jack in the Box still around?
What?
Jack in the Box. I haven't seen that restaurant in a long time. Is it still around?
I don't know. Yeah, on the West Coast it is.
On the West Coast, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
It's big on the West Coast. But yeah.
So you're just going to show up.
I'll be Jack in the Box.
So you just show up at a restaurant, and people could just find you sitting there eating a Wendy's burger with your books with you. And they say, hey, I recognize her.
With a stack of my books and a pen, and I'll be happy to sign the books for them and do a little reading there in Wendy's.
Oh, that'd be awesome. And people start texting, and guess what? People start inboxing their friends on Facebook, and the place probably jam-packed. You could do that. You could do that. Who could stop you? You Cindy Williams. Shirley.
Yeah, I guess I could.
You could do that.
I don't know, Jerry. I don't know.
You don't have to share the profits because it just be you showing up.
Oh, no. They won't let you do that. They won't let you.
At Wendy's? At Wendy's?
At Wendy's. Yeah, I'd probably end up working there. I'd probably end up being very happy getting a job there and working the drive-through window, which is no easy task.
No, it's not. It's tough. I always thank them so much. They love me at Dunkin' Donuts. They know it's me because of my voice. You were right about the voice thing. They recognize me at those places when I they know my order. I don't even have to tell them what it is. If I switch it, they switch it back. I tried to change from going. I wanted number 10, which is the turkey sausage sandwich on flatbread, right, with a large coffee and cream only, no hash brown. I tried to switch it to an Angus burger on flatbread, and the guy said, "Oh no, you want number 10." Like, okay.
Jerry, you want number 10? Yeah, when I was pregnant with my daughter, there was this thing I craved at Jack in the Box. It was their nachos. It was the most delicious nachos in the world, and I wanted extra jalapenos on them. And they would know. I'd go, they'd say, "May I help you?" And I go, "I would like to." I go, "Hey, Cindy, you want the nachos?" I said, "Yes, thank you. Drive on up. We'll have them ready for you." And they'd have my order, just like you, Jerry.
McDonald's was the same way. I was there almost every day with the kids because they had activities every day, and they knew I was going to order the cheeseburger, the nuggets, and and all. They knew the order. And the guy, we were friends. We had the winter chit chat, and he ended up getting another job, and I had to get to know a new guy. It was crazy. Somebody offered him a job. Yeah, he knew my order. And the funny thing was somebody liked him so much they hired him at a big company, and he had just graduated from high school. They gave him a job that you needed a college degree. Yeah, they said he got a job that you needed a college degree to get because they really liked him at the drive-thru. I said, wow, they took my guy. Yeah, I had to start over. Yeah. I stopped going to McDonald's. I started going to Wendy's.
I love that. I love that. Yes.
You're so funny.
Wendy's.
You're still funny. You're still funny.
Oh.
You're so awesome,
wow. Thank you.
Wow.
So are you.
Thank you. We're just so
glad. Story. I used to work at IHOP. I worked at the International House of Pancakes. Yeah, in college for years and years. The one on the Sunset Strip. I worked the graveyard shift. I have nothing but, and my mother was a waitress, and I have nothing but respect and admiration for people who work in that industry. And it's so much, I just love it. I'd love to do a movie about that because what goes on, and it's like a team effort there. And just like you said, your customers and, I just had so much fun. I didn't write about it too much in the book, but if I ever write anything else, I'm going to dedicate a whole chapter to when I was a waitress at the IHOP on Vermont and Santa Monica and the one on Sunset. I was also a cocktail waitress at the Whiskey a Go-Go. I wrote a whole chapter on that because that was something else in the 60s. And Jim Morrison was my first customer, and Jimi Hendrix came in there, and I almost got fired because of Jimi Hendrix because I reached out and touched his buckskin, the fringe on his buckskin suit. Oh, just beautiful, man. Oh, my God. And then it's the first time I ever heard this term. We had this bouncer, Arthur, and he looked at me when I reached out and touched Jimi Hendrix's fringe, and I stepped back with my tray, and because he was coming up the stairs, and I was standing on the side of the stairs, and Arthur, the bouncer, said, "Cindy." And I looked up, and I said, "Yeah." He goes, "I'm on your case." And I said, "What does that mean? What does that mean?" "Oh, really? Tell me what that means." I have no idea. This is the first time I ever heard that term. I'm on your case. I like that term.
I guess,
we should bring it back,
means he's
Jerry.
watching you. Yeah, I guess he means he's watching you,
He was. He was watching me. He knew what I was up to, touching Jimi Hendrix fringe on his buckskin, his beautiful buckskin suit.
My next question is a pretty big question. Again, you was the cutie pie, of the 60s and the 70s. Did you have a hard time with guys, like dating guys? Were guys afraid of you? Because you were so cute. What was the deal back then for you dating? Could you do that?
Yes, I dated a lot, but all I wanted to do was get married, like most girls. I just wanted to get married and have my family, but I nothing. I don't know. It was such a whirlwind. I was at work so much, and work was so hard and rewarding. But every person I met was in show business, and that it just didn't lead to anything. Yeah. I dated some very interesting people. I do not write about that in the book, and you know why? Because they're all married with families now, and I don't want to. I really put my foot in it at one time, and People Magazine did this article, and they sent someone out, and I just opened my mouth about, oh, yes, I dated so-and-so, and I was seeing so-and-so, and everybody got freaked out, and including me, when it was in print, because it just, it just didn't look right, and so I learned my lesson, and I just never, I don't say boo in this book about anybody. The only person that you might think that I dated is Andy Kaufman in the book, because there's a whole chapter on Andy, because he was a dear, dear friend. I met him, and we did date, but it's a very funny chapter about how I went to the comedy clubs with him in the very beginning, before he was big or anything, and he'd tell me what he wanted me to do on stage, but he didn't tell me what he was going to do, like a magic trick. Like one time he told me, when I start singing, get behind me and go dance. Mm-hmm. And I said, okay. And he said, just stay up stage with your head down and your back to the audience until I start singing. And what he did at Caroline's in New York was or maybe it was Catch a Rising Star. I don't remember which comedy club, but it was a midnight set. And he started reading F. Scott Fitzgerald, Tender is the Night. Or maybe it was The Great Gatsby. I don't remember, but the crowd went crazy. They told him to shut up, booed him, and told him to get off the stage. And I'm standing there, and I'm scared out of my mind now, thinking they're going to rush us stage and kill us both. And he said, and so then he says, "Oh, you don't like literature, huh?" And they go, "Well, get off the stage." And well, maybe you want something else like entertainment. They go, "Yeah, we want entertainment." And he goes, "Well, maybe you want me to sing for you." And they go, "Yeah, sing for us." And that was my cue. And so I come down stage and I stand behind him and he goes, "Okay, I'll sing." He slams the book shut and he proceeds to sing Oklahoma. You know that song, Oklahoma, where the wind comes traveling. And I go dance behind him, and their mouths, their jaws dropped.
They loved it.
So did mine, except I was dancing. You know, I was doing the jerk and the hitchhike and the swim and everything. And I couldn't believe he did that. But it was so much fun. It was so much fun. He was so mirthful.
That's right. That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
And speaking of your fans, now, when people know, you got the book out now, what are people saying when they so relieved that you're doing well and they just so happy for you? That's what you're getting back from fans?
Yes, because the fans of Laverne and Shirley are the most loving, fun-filled, wonderful human beings. And they I don't know, it's like a mass of consciousness that just wants the best for everybody else. That's how I see our fans, and that's why and they're always happy to see me, and I'm always happy to see them. We're like cousins. That's how I treat everybody who loved that show. It's like a cousin, like a first cousin. And I'm just so blessed like that it was such a mirthful show. And that's why I wrote a happy book, a book that'll make people happy when they read it. And hopefully laugh out loud. And but that it's true, and everyone is happy for me, and I'm happy for them. And it feels so good, doesn't it, when you're happy for somebody else's success, truly happy for them, because you share it with them. Because it's, it's all gifts from God, and He just chose different people to give different gifts to, and you have to acknowledge that. My friend Lynn Stewart, she's my best friend, and she was Mrs. Vaughn on Pee-wee's Playhouse. I don't know if you ever watched that. But we were in school together, and then we started, professionally acting, around the same time together, and we traveled that whole path together. And when she'd get a job and I wouldn't, or I'd get a job and she wouldn't, we called it our emotion, our feelings, we called happity. Because you were happy. I would be happy for Lynn and get to pity myself a little bit. But I'd have to be happy for Lynn. And she would do the same for me. And you practice that, and then there's no jealousy, no envy.
Right. Yes.
Just love and happiness, and you share in their success and their happiness.
That's a good friend. That's a good friend. Yeah, because I was going to ask you, something a little bit about that, like, getting your big break. Did you ever think it would happen to you, or it just happened? You wasn't even thinking about it because it happened so fast. That happens to some people. Things just happen for them.
It was like lightning in a bottle. I didn't know what I was going to do when I left college. I just had youth and enthusiasm, and I've been taught theater, taught stage, and I was full of confidence, and I was happy, and I was happy in my waitressing job, and I just said to myself, I'll be in the right place at the right time someday, and it'll all happen. It happened like that, Jerry. And it was, and there was a lot of praying going on, believe me. And just like Kimberly's song, it's just, I'm on my knees, it's just you and me. And there was a lot of that. But I always felt good, and I always felt blessed, even when I had nothing. I remember one time I should have written this in the book. I lived in this little room in this house, and we had shared a bathroom. There were 8 bedrooms in this big old house. We called it a hippie house, but and this is when I was waiting tables, and I had this tin foil that somebody had given me a piece of chocolate in, and the tin foil was on this dresser. I had this tiny little room, but there was a window, and when the sun hit this tin foil, it glistened, and it was like a rainbow of light. It made me so happy, and I thought, I don't need a diamond or any kind of jewelry. Look how beautiful this tin foil is. And I remember thinking, that's what the world is. It's all there for everybody, whether it be a diamond or tin foil. And I always think of that tin foil. I wish I had saved it. That it was like thin and pink, and when the light hit it, it just glistened. And I thought that would be a children's book. Someone has a diamond and someone has a little piece of tin foil, and it glistens and shines and dazzles just as brilliantly as the diamond. And that's I don't even know how I got on that, but I'm just grateful for everything.
That's right. Yeah, you sound like, you just looking at you on TV, you did come off as a happy person. It's like you never heard any real negative press, even though, it's not like nowadays, you sneeze and people know about it, they tweet it. You guys were awesome coming into our households, gave young ladies an opportunity to see what it's like to, how to carry yourself, working girls, doing your thing. And, of course, Happy Days was the show for the guys because of the Fonz. Everybody wanted to be cool and wear a leather jacket. That was such a big influence on the African-American community as well. And I remember guys actually were taking guys' jackets back then, that's when the bullying really took effect. They think they're being bullied now, man. Just imagine coming home without your leather jacket that your parents, took their hard-earned money to buy. So,
dear.
Yeah, it was rough back then.
Henry wouldn't like that. The Fonz wouldn't like that.
Yeah, I know. The Fonz, man. He was the man. He was like the Don Johnson of the 70s.
Yes, Fonz. He was.
The coolest guy ever.
Yes, he was, the Fonz.
Yeah. He was something else. Henry.
Isn't it funny how that character and how Henry imbued himself with that character, and everybody felt that character. They felt they were part of that character. See, that's when it's magical. When everybody feels they're a part of that character and that character is a part of them, that it's that whole circle back and forth of energy going to the, and that there's beauty in that. And Penny and I would, when we come out all week long, we would work on the show and try and make the show laugh out loud funny. And our litmus paper was, if it didn't make us laugh in rehearsal, we knew it wasn't going to make the audience laugh because we were the audience. So we would work and work and work. And when we would come out and do something that we took a shot at and we'd hear that audience laugh, oh, Jerry, you know, in laughter, it's like a song. When everyone's singing a song together in church or wherever, or the national anthem together, you're all together. And when you laugh, when everybody laughs together, there's no disconnect. It's all one voice and one happiness, one ball of happiness. And that used to just be our, that was our reward. Every time we go, okay, and we'd set a joke up and say, here, we'd be thinking, here it comes, we're going to see if this is going to work, and then everyone, and then when they burst out laughing, and there were times that we would be biting our tongues so we wouldn't laugh because it would just be, it was so much fun. It was such a blessing.
I bet it was. I know it was hard giving that up. Now, I have one final question for you before we take our break, and then we're going to get your final thoughts for tonight's show. We've been talking to you a long time tonight. I know you're tired. Now, my last question, this is a little bit social media. Now, I did Google you, and a lot of pictures came up, different, phases of your life. Now, your publicists, are they putting anything out there, like some of your old shows when you were on the Tonight Show? Can we find that out there on YouTube?
You can't find it because they're all kinescope, and they lost them. That's what Johnny Carson said. And I don't know. I tried to. I have a chapter in the book again about doing the Tonight Show and how terrifying it was. And I don't like doing talk shows, but I have to do them. But I wanted to go back and research this one that I did with the amazing Kreskin. And I couldn't find it anywhere. I couldn't get any of the old Johnny Carson shows up. But I don't know why that is. Maybe it's because they're selling them. But Laverne and Shirley's coming on MeTV this summer, and they got us to. I suggested they have us each tell them our favorite shows. So they did. They're going to run our favorite shows: Penny's, mine, and Eddie's, and maybe David's. I'm not sure.
Oh, Lenny, yeah. That whole, everybody became successful. Because Lenny got pretty big also. Yeah, he got big.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Michael.
Yeah, he was. That was awesome. Those people were something. They were good. They were good. A lot of success came out of that group. Happy Days, spin-off. Now you know what a spin-off is.
I know.
That's right. All right. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to get your final thoughts for tonight's show. Leave our audience with something to remember you by while they search for your book. And, again, I can't wait to, Laverne and Shirley come out. Of course, everybody's so big into Netflix these days, so they want to sit there and look at all your episodes. And could that happen? Would we be able to find them on Hulu or Netflix? Is that something in the works?
I don't. They're not on Netflix, I'll tell you that much. I don't know, but they just still rerun them. You can buy the seasons of the show on DVDs.
On DVD.
But I don't know about it. I don't know, what do you call it, on Hulu or, over the Internet. You can see episodes. Because I posted one on my Facebook. That's the thing I left behind. But you can. I guess if you go to, just Google in Laverne and Shirley episodes, it should come up.
All right, good. All right, everybody, you heard that. All right, hold tight. We're talking to Cindy Williams. Her book is coming out. Well, it's out. It's out there on Amazon. It's called Shirley. She's also being featured in a stage play right now. I think you said it was called Sugar Nuns, playing up in Michigan. So get your tickets while she's there. And how long are you going to be playing for the stage play? How long, we expect to have you there?
Through the 17th of May.
Through May. Okay, people got time.
2 more weeks.
All right, all right, good. So hold tight. We're going to hear a commercial from Gerald Manuel. Well, he's not in it, but it's his commercial. Hold tight, everybody.
Hi, if you're struggling with your relationship or you just can't seem to find the right one, author Gerald Manuel has written an enlightening new book entitled How to Identify Your Spiritual Soulmate. You may order a copy today from Amazon.com or at BarnesandNoble.com. This book is sure to answer many of the questions you may have. Thank you and God bless you.
All right, it's Gerald Manuel. Check that book out. For those of you who have gotten married yet, you need some help deciding if she's the right one for you. All right, good, awesome book. We're featuring Gerald Manuel monthly on our podcast, so you'll be able to go to www.positivepower21.org and listen to 2 shows that he produced. They're not up right now. Well, they are on Spreaker.com, but they're not quite on our site yet, but it will be coming this week. You get an opportunity to hear him and I go at it when we talk about relationships, the spiritual side of it. All right, and we'll be having some guests come on and join us as we go through his topics and his chapters. That's going to be simply awesome. Pretty deep gentleman, too. All right, we're talking to, she used to be called Shirley, now she's Cindy Williams. All right, Cindy Williams, your final thoughts for tonight's show. And again, thank you so much for being here with us on PositivePower21.org with Jerry Royce Live Worldwide. Thank you so much.
Oh, Jerry, it's been my pleasure. Believe me, it's been a lot of fun. I think I've talked to you more than I've talked to several other people in the last week.
Wow. Awesome. All right. Are you ready for your final thoughts for tonight's show?
I am. Are you going to ask me a question, or do these thoughts just have to come out of my head, which is...
Yeah, just let it
has
flow.
Squirrels running it right now.
Yeah, just let it flow. All yours. Ad-lib.
Oh, well, I don't know what to say. I've had a wonderful time talking with you, and this is the reason why, because you're such a positive person, this is the reason.
Thank you.
People like you that it makes me happy that I chose to write this little book in positive terms. And I was going to call it in the beginning, if you can't say anything nice about somebody, don't say anything at all. My mother used to always say that to me. And one thing I neglected to say is, my dad was alcoholic, but he always dropped me off at church by myself. Any church he found, every Sunday. And I won a Bible for perfect attendance at Tent Revival in Texas. And I went to just every different kind of church. And that's, in my mind, that passion play of Christ and just all the great people of the Bible really molded me and saved me from an otherwise, my father was a person who could be a tormentor, but he also saved me. He knew what he was doing by dropping me off at church every Sunday and making me go to Sunday school. And so that's why Kimberly's song was so, it just resonated in me. And I'm just going to tell you one other little story, because people don't talk about God enough, I don't think.
They don't, you're right.
It's not the love, the real rapture love. And but I'll tell you something, this little story, and then I'm done. I'm going to go try and figure my computer out.
Yeah, take your time.
When Penny and I first met each other, we were on a double date. And our dates took us, that's when we first met. Our dates took us to the Coconut Grove, which is no longer there in Los Angeles, to see Liza Minnelli. And opening for Liza Minnelli was Little Richard. And after the show, we were going to go back and say hello because our dates knew, they were in show business, and they knew Liza Minnelli. So we were going to go back and meet Liza Minnelli. But to get to Liza Minnelli's dressing room, you had to pass through Little Richard's dressing room. And so our dates were ahead of us. And so Penny and I were coming through the door, through his dressing room, and he was sitting at his dressing table to the right of us, and he put his leg up to stop us like a toll gate, and he stopped us. And he said, "You two, I want to bless you two." And Penny and I immediately bowed our heads. And Little Richard said this beautiful prayer over us. Wow. And then he's like, "Let us go." And we we never told him how fabulous he was. We talked about that later. But years later, I don't know where Penny and I were, but I turned to her and I said, or she turned to me. No, I turned to her and I said, "You know why we were so successful, don't you?" And she looked at me and she said, "Little Richard." And I said, "Yeah." And I always think of him so fondly. He's a reverend. Pennymaker is his real name. Yeah. The Reverend Pennymaker. But it was as dynamic as as he is as a performer, that's how dynamic that prayer was, Jerry. And I just always found that so marvelous that he said that prayer.
Look him up.
He goes, you too. I want to bless you too.
And
he said that beautiful prayer over us. Anyway, I thought that was an interesting, lovely little story. And
that was awesome. Love that story.
Yeah.
God
anyway,
first.
God first, always. Always God first, above everything.
That's right.
And he's the go-to, no matter what. And he will always answer your prayers, always, in one fashion or another. If you're really talking to him, if you're really, like Kimberly said, you and me, I'm on my knees. And you don't have to be on your knees, but it helps. Couldn't hoist.
Yeah.
But you can talk to him anywhere, anytime. I wish if the whole world knew that, and believed that, or knew that, then it would be we'd be back to Eden, It would be such a beautiful, beautiful place. But it's broken into such factions that sometimes, sometimes you get weak and anger shows its ugly head and all the, we have a song in this show that I'm doing about the 7 deadly sins, and it's like I can count them off, the ones that, I'm guilty over here, except for murder, but, but if you think about it, if God created everyone in his image, he must have a fantastic sense of humor, and he must be able to sing like nobody's business. And if you think of everybody's gift that they have in the world, and you think God created us in his image, then we have a little bit of that he is. And so imagine his sense of humor, Jerry.
Yeah. Laughter all
and
the time.
You have to apply to that also when you're praying or you're talking with him. Anyway, that's about it for this old gal.
Awesome show. And I have to reveal one other thing too. I got a little bucket list too, so I can check your name off now. So I had Bunny DeBarge, if you remember her, El DeBarge's sister. I had a crush on her. I had Bernadette Stannis a couple years in our first Tribe podcast, and I had her on here from Good Times. And then I had the great and awesome Cindy Williams. All right. Yeah.
Oh, Jerry, you're so sweet and kind. Thank you. What a compliment. This whole show has been a compliment. Thank you. You're so wonderful.
Thank you.
I hope you get a gazillion listeners.
Yeah, that's right. We can use them to help our sponsors out. That's right. But the main thing is we sharing information that can help someone who's aspiring to be an actor or actress. And you talked about your children being in music. Everybody's aspiring to be a musician or a singer. So, those was good things to hear. Your family's involved heavily with the arts. That is awesome. Awesome.
Yes.
You're supporting them. That's the main thing. You're supporting them no matter what. So you want grandchildren, right?
Later on, as soon as they're able to support them themselves. Yes, I do.
You will get them. Oh, good for you. And we're so happy about you. And we're so proud of you. We're glad you're back among us. This book, I can't wait to read it. I'm looking forward to it. And good luck with the play. And we hope that they have an opportunity to record that so the world can see it on Netflix or someplace. So that, bring that up. Maybe that'd be a way for everybody, to see you at work again. That's really popular right now.
Maybe they can figure out that on and off switch and send it out there into the netherworld of what you guys know to be the internet.
That's right. Awesome. All right, Cindy, we're going to get out of here. Cindy Williams, a.k.a. Shirley. And by the way, what was Shirley's last name on that show? I remember was it an Italian name?
Feeney. It was Irish. Feeney. Shirley Williams.
That's right, it was Feeney. That's right, it was Shirley Feeney. How did I forget that? Man, my mind's getting a little better since I'm off my diabetes medication. It's a lot better now.
Good for you.
Yeah, I lost 20
pounds. So you got
pounds.
your diet under control?
Oh, yes.
Is that how you did it?
Yeah, a lot of fruits and vegetables.
No more driving through
protein.
that McDonald's, Jerry.
No McDonald's. They don't see the kids don't even like McDonald's anymore. That was a good thing. They like Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A, is that what it's called? Chick-fil-A. That's what they like.
Chick-fil-A, yeah.
Yeah, that's their spot. All right, we're going to get out of here, and you hold tight for a second while I sign everybody off. All right?
All right, Jerry Royce.
Now,
Jerry
Cindy,
Royce Live.
That's right, Jerry Royce Live. Look, see, I tell them all the time, they want to hear the good stuff, the real good stuff. They got to tune in to Jerry Royce Live worldwide on positivepower21.org because they get a chance to hear shows like this, hear an opportunity to hear how well you're still doing. That is awesome. God is good. And the way you talked about God and how the music, Kimberly's music, really gave you that feeling, filled you. And that's what it's all about, sharing one's arts. And that's what it's all about.
Yes,
now,
Jerry.
Now, I don't sing, and I do a little dancing. But it was just so awesome just to have this talk show, to have you on here. And I just thank God for that. Thank you, Lord. Thank you.
Amen to that, Jerry. And right back at you.
All right, y'all. I'm Jerry Royce Live. I'm worldwide. Thank you for tuning in to Jerry Royce Live on positivepower21.org and Spreaker.com/positivepower21. This is a Royce Enterprises production. And don't forget about replay on Facebook.com/Jerry Royce Live. All right, y'all. Y'all share this show. Peace.